अस्सलाम वालेकुम, welcome to Sunday Brunch with Lubna. एक बार फिर मैं हाजिर हूँ आप लोगों के साथ. Thank you so very much for choosing TV1. We know you have plenty of choices and you choose TV1, so thank you so much for that. It's a beautiful Sunday morning and I'm sure you all are just waking up or already up. Of course, those of you that are watching for the first time, I'll tell you what the show is about. And those of you that always watch the show, welcome back. And thank you for the great love and support you have given this show. We do want to let you know what the show is about. I invite people on the show who have made some positive changes in our community, people who are doing some amazing things, people you should know about, people that you see on the show and then they go, wow, this person is doing this. Many of these guests you've already seen probably, but I kind of tell you about why they are doing what they're doing, what's the story behind it. And of course, whatever they are doing, we let you know about that. So thank you so much for that, for being a part of TV1, being a part of Sunday Brunch with Lubna. And I do want to give out the number if you do want to call in and say something. It is 855-886-6387, extension 4. The extension is very important if you want to get to the show. And the reason behind the show is that we are, especially a platform like TV, it's such a big platform that's right now being watched all over US and Canada. The show will be on repeat tonight again at 10, and I believe tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. and 1:30. So you have 4 chances to watch the show. And so tape it and watch it. And TV1 is on Sling TV and of course Dish Network. And we're talking about a platform as TV. There's another platform that's very big, and that's magazines. And today's guest, I think all my shows are wonderful, all my guests are special, but one thing about these guests I have today is that these people have actually started something that we think about, something we imagine, oh, you know what, someone should do this. So, they actually did this. So who am I talking about? Let's, without any further ado, let's introduce today's guest. The first guest I have is Sonia Gambello, who is the Director of International Affairs and Contributing Editor. Welcome, Sonia. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing excellent. Thank you for having us.
No problem. Thank you for coming out. All right.
you.
We'll talk to you too in just a few minutes. And the second guest I have is Melissa Y. Herrera, who is the Director of Business Development and Contributing Writer. And how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having us.
No problem. Thank you for coming out.
So happy to be here.
Great. And of course, you're probably wondering, writers, and we're talking about this, International Focus magazine, which you can see right here. And, this is our past consul journal, Abdul Mahmoud Saab. And it's not just Pakistan. I think I have actually 2 copies here. And this is another one. And this is the honorary consul journal of Hungary, which we see over here. And these are different people. We're going to talk more about the magazine, but before we get to the magazine, let's talk about, start off with you, Sonia. Mm-hmm. Now, International Focus magazine, starting this thing, what was the reason behind this?
So we were always attending the national days and independence days of the different cultures, and of course the consuls that represent the countries are there in attendance, and they're giving this great information that they're representing, and they are appointed to do this. And always we would see the same people over the years at these events, at the hotels or junior league or wherever the venue is in the area. And we would notice that information wasn't getting spread. It was our certain organizations there with us that we work with, that are partners with us, and that information was so critical and so important for people to understand what these consulates do, and that's why we created a platform for these beloved consuls.
Wow, that's wonderful, because you see these consuls at different places, you don't really get to know about them. It's kind of like the show, how people get to know about you guys now.
Right.
Exactly. So another question, starting a magazine, obviously there's a lot of work involved in it, and thinking about this and actually making that dream come true. Was it something you always wanted to do?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm a journalist at heart. I'm a writer since I was a child. I would get the flashlight in bed and the dark, and that's why I have to wear contacts and glasses now, because I would read in the middle of the night when I was supposed to be sleeping, and I would still make good grades in school. I was in spelling bees, and I was doing very well. but I went to college for journalism at an international college here in Houston. And, you know, it was very important to me to spread great information that people can utilize and factual-based information. And an understanding of different cultures is so important to me since I got involved in the international world 7 years ago by the Pakistan community. Thank you very much.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yes.
And that's something very nice, you know, having all the different, you know, nationalities, bringing them together. You're kind of bridging the gap that people sometimes want to say and be like, you know what, how do we know about this person, or who is this person? So I think that's really wonderful. Melissa, coming to you.
Yes.
Were you always thinking of doing this too, or was it something that?
No, you know what? I wasn't. My background is in education and business, sales, entrepreneurship, political science. However, I have such a passion for the international community.
Right.
So
I could see it right away when I met her.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah.
So was it something you guys were just drinking coffee one day and said, you know what, let's start a magazine? Was it like that, or was it how did you guys come about that?
Well, to tell you the truth, I actually came on board after the magazine was already created.
Okay.
And thanks to Sonia and thanks to the other people at International Focus Magazine, but I was blown away when I saw the first copy. I mean, it was actually the second issue. And she just, we were at a meeting, she put it on the table, she handed out a few to people, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on that copy of the magazine.
Wow.
She had it all over her. In her eyes, you can read it. And I was blown away by her because, and she knows all these languages, and she's just a very amazing person to know.
Thank you.
I'm so blessed by knowing Melissa.
Oh, thank you very much. I feel the same.
Because whoever you choose to be a part with you, you have to be very careful, you know, because especially being in politics.
Right.
They're very private people.
They're very
Our
private
consulates are very private. So we have to go through clearance and everything.
Right,
We're very
before you go
careful
ahead and do
before we
it.
bring people on board.
Really?
Because people send me emails all the time that want to be a part of this, but we're very careful.
On who you're choosing.
Yes.
And because, you know, you're representing someone, you're actually endorsing someone. In a way, I would say endorsement, because you're having these people, and of course, a lot of people want to find out why they're doing it. Plus, each consulate journal, I think usually it's for a limited time that they come out, so you have that little window that's open.
Right.
You can do it. You know, another very important question, because on my show I have different topics, so I'm gonna have a couple of little topics here and there, because there's so much to talk about. I think 1 hour is not even enough.
Probably not.
Probably not. We'll have to do another part too. But you know, being a female, I know a lot is changing right now, just within politics right now. A lot of things are changing. A lot of people are in different careers now. Even being a South Asian myself, being in media, I'm doing TV for about 2 years now. Before this, I did radio for about 4 years, and it was a talk show. How has that been, being a female, having a magazine? Have you had people being like, well, let us talk to the guy or who's in charge? How has that experience been?
I know that you brought that up, that was your experience in some instances. However, I have seen that a bit. Of course, in certain communities, it's more so than others.
Right.
As we know.
As we know, we're not going to say names, but yes, I know. Okay.
But yeah, being in the international world, and you know, I started out emceeing a Pakistan annual business chamber dinner at 6 years ago, and you know, that was really my start. I was a shy girl. I had been Miss Houston, so I still looked like Miss Houston at the time. I was young. I was 30. Yeah, I'm 36 now, but I had a very old soul, very maturity, a lot of reading and all of that, a lot of information in me. But I didn't know how to really distribute that. How to really. I was a good presenter. I had another magazine at the time that I was not an owner of, like I am with this one, but it was always about the man in charge at that time.
Right,
that was it. But when I went and did the emceeing, that was really challenging myself. Right. And I had gotten the opportunity by the VP of the Pakistan Chamber, Zaki Mirza. He said, you know, I like the way you speak. I like the way you present yourself. I know you'll do well. If something should happen that doesn't go well during the event, you'll know how to handle it. I like how you've handled everything that you've done here. In fact, I met him, Mr. Mirza, here at International Trade Center, where we're officed, our next building here, and you guys have the show. And at the time I had went on your show, back then at another location.
Right.
There was another show
Right.
with this broadcasting system. However, it's just the people I've met have really grown on me, and I've grown up a lot around everyone, and I've really come out and brought. And so, thank you very much. I'm really grateful to that community, especially the Pakistan community, and so they're always going to be very important to me.
Definitely. That's
However, we remain objective all the
yes,
time.
Definitely. What about Melissa? What about you? We asked her.
Well, I have experienced that as well. You know, people wanting to know who the guy in charge of
Right.
everything is. But I'm pretty tenacious,
Right. Yes,
and
that's
I'm
important.
extraordinarily positive, and optimistic. So I just kind of just don't pay attention to that at all, and I just keep on plugging through.
Right. Right. of course.
So, and I think that's what you've done that as well.
Right.
Sonia's done that as well. But I think that's what women have to do. We have to just
Yes.
keep that positive attitude
Exactly.
and just plow
Exactly.
through and just keep going.
You just keep going, and I
Yeah.
think that's important, especially the people watching right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of girls who are thinking of doing something, starting something.
Yes.
And many times, and right now we're talking about, being a woman, having, like, for example, starting a magazine.
Right.
And again, all the different fields that, women are getting into. But besides that, I think another important thing is women supporting each other.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And
Very
that's,
much.
Yes.
you want to like, yes,
That's,
definitely.
that's the biggest thing. That we're going to have a women's conference with a big church that's known very good, but we don't really like to be affiliated with churches. But I do women's conferences all the time.
Right.
In fact, my first interview for the magazine was with Nelson Mandela's granddaughter, and that was
wow.
a huge
That's right.
women's
Of course.
conference that we had here in Houston, beginning of summer, and it was just quite amazing that she was immediately on board.
Right.
And I think a lot of it is also focusing.
Right, that's
And
very
our
important
focus
too.
is business, culture, lifestyle. So I really want to make sure that's very clear, and we'll go into the subtitles of that, which is, tourism boards, hotels, and
Right.
airlines, and people that want to reach out to us and be a part of this. That's who we're looking for.
Of course, and I think it's important, especially women supporting each other. And I mean, women's conferences, and I can say this. I've seen in our community, and nothing against our community, before people will start emailing, or start calling and saying, how can you say that? In our South Asian community, we have this where I have to say that women do not support each other. If a woman is doing something good, they'll try to do something by saying, you know what, she's not doing good, or no one does this. They don't give that, that support where they say, what, let's support each other. And I think it takes a lot for a woman supporting another woman for whatever they're doing, be it a business, be it a profession. I think it's very important. I mean, if you look at different events, how many ladies actually support each other? I don't know how it's in the different communities, but I can definitely vouch for the South Asian community, which I think we need to change that. You're smiling at that.
What would you say, Melissa?
Well,
She knows I'm her #1 fan.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
said, here, you
so-
have you can do whatever you
Right.
want. Go ahead.
Right.
And then we
Right.
just,
You're right. Sonia's amazing that way, and I feel like if that is the way that it is,
Right.
even one person can create the ripple effect.
Of course.
And so I want to encourage everybody listening, if you are suffering from this kind of situation, find somebody today.
Right. And you're not just listening, you're actually watching too.
Right.
So-
Right. Sorry.
And I think it's
find,
important.
Yeah. Find somebody.
someone,
Find
right.
somebody today who you can not ask for support, but you can give your support.
Give your support, right. And I
if you
think
want
it's
it, it's just
important.
like my daughter asks me all the time, Mom, how do you make friends? Be a friend and make
do
a
you make
friend.
friends?
You
Right.
have to show what you are, and then that is a karma that comes back.
It's
or
a
that's
what goes around, it comes
yes,
around,
it's
right?
or there's
Right.
other ways of saying, what is it that we always say? It's with when what you want to be, what you want, you need to be that.
Okay, right,
So
of course, that
that's
makes
the-
perfect
right.
sense.
Yeah.
It can't get any more logical than
Right.
that.
So I
think
would
it's
I would
important.
just totally encourage people to just
Right.
go out and be that.
Right, of
Be a
course.
part
Be
of
that
it.
for somebody else.
Of
Get
course.
integrated. We met at a political function. Just go and whatever your interests are, be near it. If you're near it, you'll eventually be
Closer to it.
ingrained in it somehow.
Of course, and I think it's important. And now, of course, we'll talk about the magazine more in detail in our next segment. But before that, I want to talk about you guys again. And how has it been, having a magazine? Obviously, it's a very successful magazine. I've seen it, I've read it. And again, it's a lot of a lot of the people in the community who actually like reading. You know, that's another thing too, which I think we need to, because that whole essence of reading, that should not go. And I think education is such an important factor when it comes to young girls, young boys, and even the elderly, everyone. Having a family and juggling a career as having a magazine, how has that been?
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm very fortunate. I have, I have 6 kids, but they're all big.
Oh.
So I'm very blessed that way. And so the youngest one is 18 and a half, and he's a senior in high school.
All right.
So I'm very, very
Very
fortunate. I
blessed
do
with
have kids still at home,
But they're
but it's easier for me.
Okay, we'll come back so and talk to you. We have to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some messages. And welcome back. Thank you again for watching Sunday Brunch with Lubna. And of course, you can call in and ask your questions or your comments. Our number is on the screen if you would like to be a part of this. And who do we have today? International Focus Magazine. And of course, we have the contributing writer and editor with us, and of course, the Director of International Affairs and Director of Business Development. Sonia, right before the break, I was asking a question, so I do want to go back so my audience knows I didn't forget. How has it been juggling the family and starting a magazine? How has that been?
Well, I think we're all striving for that balance. No one really, particularly if you research or meet people, they're always talking about how they're balancing every day.
Right.
And so no one really has that perfect. No one really does. I know my twins are very important to me. They're 10. They turn 11 actually this month.
Oh, wow.
And they're boy-girl. Ava and Aiden, and we're related to a very well-known political family through their dad's side. We are, I grew up very, I can relate to a lot of the conservative values for the community that brought me into the international world, and that's the Pakistan community. And so I could really relate to a lot of that, and was very shy when I started out. So now, as a mom, I'm showing my daughter how she can go outside of her comfort zone, and that's most important. That's where the magic happens, outside of the comfort zone, and really know how to balance all of this and bring her in to events. Like last Saturday, we went to support a girlfriend of mine. Her name is Afshin, and she has Tazaria's High Couture Jewelry, and so she credits me to get her into Tootsie's store. I gave her some business advice, and I just gave some advice yesterday to another lady, and so I'm always about
helping people. That's very nice.
And we got henna done, so that's what you might see on my, which has been now over a week, so it's going away. But she had a little henna done with a pumpkin and Ava on her, and Aisha's henna. It's called something else, but the lady's name is Aisha.
Of course. And I think it's important, like you said, your daughter is 11 years old, and it's important for her to see that this is something mom is doing. And I'm kind of in the same boat when it comes to that. I have a 13-year-old myself, a 13-year-old girl, and I feel that she needs to know that, we can do a lot of different things. There's no stopping and doing anything. And that's important. What do you think?
Absolutely. I have a 20-year-old.
Okay.
Oh, and so, very big.
It is big, right? Yeah. Okay, going back to the magazine. Well, this was a little bit about you guys, because I'm sure, the people behind it, the off-camera stuff we discussed.
Right.
So now people got to know about you. Now let me ask you about this magazine, International Focus Magazine. You look at the cover, you see a consulate journal on a cover. Each magazine you have, it's a consulate journal. So when people see the cover, they think, oh my God, this is just about the consulate. So what else is in your magazine? If I was to pick up I've read your magazine, but what else is in this magazine?
The content will always be, the consulates will always be on the front cover. The content will always be business, culture, lifestyle. And so what falls in those categories in lifestyle, we can go on, and just like our word if, for a magazine we do the hashtag IF, little I, big F, because there's possibilities it evokes. And so under business, we have many organizations that are in international world that would fall under that category, whether you have an international business yourself, or your husband does, or someone you know. Culture, there's so much that goes into that. So we're looking at tourism boards, we're looking at hotels, we're looking at airlines, we're looking at having events at places.
Right.
We do every month. We have a nice venue for consular social, and we invite our advertisers to that. And so Melissa can talk more on that since she's on the business development side of it. But we also have many partners already involved, which
Right.
is the World Affairs Councils, United Nations, Sister Cities, which is many types of
Right.
sister cities. There's Karachi, there's a few others.
Right.
We have, who else is our partner here? Because since you work with them as well. let's
Greater
see.
Houston Partnership.
Greater Houston Partnership. The
Mayor's
And these are
office.
pretty
Mayor's
big
office.
names. You know,
Right.
for them to be your partner.
They are.
I mean, even getting to these people, like United Nations. I mean, this is not an easy thing. It's a tough task.
Well,
State
we've
Department
built.
too.
State Department.
That's
too,
our
so-
biggest
Yes.
partner, in fact.
Really?
So
Wow.
that's where
Yes.
you'll find our magazines at City Hall, at any of these places we just mentioned with the partners.
So what
That's where
areas,
you'll find them.
like if this magazine, which areas can we pick it up from? I mean, where can we get this magazine from? I mean, I know it said like, the City Hall, but would it be just like, for example, Houston, Sugar Land, Katy, like different areas?
All over.
All
Yeah,
over.
just all over the city. So our
Okay.
distribution is 20,000 plus and
20,000
growing.
plus. Okay,
Mhm.
well that's wonderful.
We are also online, so
So
That's
they
the
can
best
do it.
place
your
to
viewers
find
can
it.
catch us online.
Catch us online,
Yes,
definitely.
ifmagazine.net.
Ifmagazine.net.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I think to answer the question too is that although we might have Pakistan on the front cover,
Right. And you have different. I mean, I think the next one,
Oh,
you'll
yeah,
have it-
Republic of Korea.
Republic of
is
Korea. So just because we have one country focused at the beginning,
Right. Uh-huh.
this is our formula to do that. But inside, you can find coverage of many different countries,
Different countries,
and the
right,
whole
right.
idea, as we've talked about before, is we want to be a bridge.
Of
Yes.
course,
You know?
of course, and it's very diverse because
Yeah.
I mean, being a Pakistani, you just don't want to read about the Pakistan. You want to read about South
Absolutely.
Korea. You want to read about different countries because
Sure.
that's the whole beauty of this magazine. I
Right.
think where you have that diversity,
Right.
and I think it's important because then you're like, oh wow, this is something. And that event you're talking about is for usually you have this event privately that you guys want to tell us about.
Very private.
Sure, yeah, it's a very it's a very private event. It's a mixer or a meet and greet
Mixer,
with
right,
all
uh-huh.
of the consul generals.
Okay.
And people who work in the consulates.
Of
And
course.
so, as a perk, if you will, for our advertisers, we invite them to come as VIPs with us
Right,
so
so
that
they
we
can
can
come and meet
introduce
them.
them to
Of course.
some of those
Of
people.
course.
Yes, and we edify, and we'll, and of course, if we've picked you to be in any part of our magazine, we definitely would genuinely feel that way because we're real
Right.
selective on that too,
Right.
that anyone associated with it
You know.
or any organization, so we would definitely introduce in that manner.
It's funny how you're saying that, Sonia. In the beginning when I would do my show, well, still I feel this way. I always say people who have made pods. So if you've done something good, you'll be on my show. So if you've scammed somebody, you won't be on my show.
Yes.
Right.
Because I think that's very important. Because if I have someone, and I think you guys are the same way in your
Yes.
magazine, you're not just going to put anyone on it. Obviously, you got
Right.
to check about it, and plus you need to get clearance when you go and meet these people.
Yes.
But I think it's important because if I have someone sitting with me, I know this person is doing something good. They haven't done something bad. I mean, you're hoping later on you find, oh my God, this person did this. But usually the people you have, because you're sitting with them, you're writing about them, then it's very important that you know that because that's what you're representing. That is basically the substance of your magazine or show. What do you guys think?
Oh, I
Absolutely.
couldn't agree more.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You're right on.
Well, and it also it also affects our integrity.
Exactly.
So, birds of a feather flock together, and so
Right.
we want to make sure that we're with the right group of people, and
Yes.
that we're attracting those kinds of people to us who have
Right.
high integrity.
Of course,
Yeah.
then that's important. So, of course, with this magazine, because I like the International Focus, one thing that I really was thinking about for a while, the name International Focus. I think that name you guys chose was the reason behind it, or I think the name says it all. Now that I say it again.
Well, the reason is because it's really about focusing, and I know I need a little focusing. When I first started it, I decided, okay, what in my life do I want to cut out, and what do I want to focus on? And I got 3 personal trainers. One of them became one of our first salespeople
Oh, wow.
because he was good at sales, and so that was Jared, and he's in the very first issue. We have the Saudi consul, and he's the dean of the consular course. So we started with him on our first issue, but it was all about focusing. I know I needed to focus more, and I would say, okay, how do I focus more? Well, let's work out. Let's start working out every day. And I started focusing with working out. So that's what got me kind of in that right mindset. And then all these beautiful things started, you cut out the good. It's like if you read the leadership books, if you read any books, if you're a big reader like you were talking about, like Good from Great is one of the books. And if you go from good to the great, to get there, you have to cut out, you have to just sometimes not fill your life just with good, and then you leave open room for great, right? And so that's what I essentially did whenever I know when I need to just focus more and start this.
Exactly. And I think when you're on a certain track, I think automatically things start falling in place. And I've seen that in my life. I've heard about this, where when you're doing, and if you have good intentions, and that's also another little topic I'm throwing in there too. But I think if you have good intentions, if you are planning, like for example, your magazine, if you're planning to do good for the community, if you're planning on doing good, you know what, good things are going to happen. And there will be people who are going to try to mess you up. There will be people who will try to say, oh, you know what, and that's another thing that I always say, well, I've said in my past shows that, if someone is doing something, you're talking bad about it, you're throwing stuff in it, it really will not help. Because when they are doing something good, they have good intentions, good will happen. Be worried about yourself. Not like I'm saying, be revenge or anything, but be concerned about what you're doing. And I think with your magazine, you guys are definitely doing that. You're giving to the community, and not just one community. Another thing we were talking about off camera was there's no religion. There's no one certain religion that you guys focus. It's all diverse, basically, right? If you could talk about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll address it if you want to follow.
Well, see, I want to go real quick to the focusing. What you focus on expands, and I truly believe that. And great things do fall into place. And she knows that. She's been a great thing that fell into our place. And there's been other wonderful things that just happened by coincidence. So we're thinking of an airline we need, and then one just happens to open their door next to us at a convention, a tourism convention we went to. We really believe in great things coming to you when you do that. But being open to them as well. So we're closed off on certain things that we know are not good for our entity that we've been building, and it's been kind of a natural distribution itself, because the consulate buildings send it overseas to their native country. So they do a lot of that. It's at the embassies, it's in DC, it's here in Houston, and a lot of particular locations. And so going back to what you're saying, the next step was what? It was the, other than focusing, the objective. Okay. So the objective, being objective on no politics, we're bipartisan. We're private sector, obviously. We don't do Republican or Democrat at all. We don't touch it. We understand that that's part of the international affairs, is that we have a presidential campaign. So we might have maybe briefly one of our editorials that have touched on the fact that there's a presidential campaign.
It's not like the main
yes, exactly, exactly.
And that's important. I think that's very nice.
And then the other aspect that you brought up was religion. And so I think for us, it's really important for us to honor all religions.
Of course, and that's
very important to us to honor all religions. And as far as political, I think it's also important for us to also honor everybody's right to choose whomever or to think whatever they want. So we want to honor that as well. And we do that by not focusing on that in the magazine.
And I think that's very important, because a lot of people want to just talk about that because that's going to have more. But for choosing not to, I think it takes a lot, to do that. I think.
Well, we feel it's very important, very important. And that's how we can honor everybody.
That's wonderful. Now, this magazine, International Focus magazine, I know it's just pretty much a new one, and you guys have just a couple of issues. And where do you guys see this?
Actually, no, it's not just a couple. It's about 6 now.
6 months,
and we had a sample demo in the beginning, and that was actually displayed at our G7, our Global 7 Awards show we've done for the last 3 years. This will be our 4th one in May.
Oh wow, that's wonderful.
And that's honoring, on the platform in the local community, someone that does something on education, healthcare, or on trade. So we do trade missions. We're about to have one to Hong Kong, and so we
Wow, very
we have
nice.
a lot of branches. There's a lot of moving parts that is going to be.
It's like you have that tree and you have all these different branches
Oh,
going on,
for
so it's
sure.
like expanding all over.
And
Yes.
great
That's
roots.
wonderful. And great roots.
Yes.
And I think that's very important, having the great roots. I mean, having good roots where you know it's going to be. Did you imagine this magazine going this way?
Oh yeah,
You did.
you know, Val is the one that he and I decided. Okay, we've done all this stuff for over the years. When I remember being on the education board for the mayor and the international trade board, and doing educational initiatives out in Sugar Land and Fort Bend. I would drive an hour commute and build these math contests because these gifted and talented students, they want that challenge. They're looking for a challenge. They'll drive from California for it, you know. And so with that said, I noticed that was my day job in doing certain things like that and other projects. However, when it comes to this is what Val and I, this is our passion. We decided, let's do this on the side. Let's go to all these national days and Independence Days. And so that's why we created this, because of that reason.
All right, definitely we'll talk more. I have to take a short break. आप लोग कहीं मत जाइएगा. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Thank you again for watching Sunday Brunch with Lubna. And of course, we have two amazing ladies on the show today, and we're talking about so many things. And time just flew by, didn't it?
Oh, it was great, and thank you so much. Thank you. It's been such an honor to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No, the honor is all
Easy to
mine.
talk to you, Lubna.
Easy to talk.
Yes.
I know. Sometimes I forget I'm on TV. I'm just like sitting in my living room.
I know. It feels like we're just in the living room. It's just so comfortable. So thank you very much.
It's quite a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Thank you. But no pressure, you know, U.S. and Canada.
Right, no pressure.
No pressure out there.
No. I have a bit of an allergy sinus headache this morning, so forgive me if I look like I'm in pain. Sometimes I show it. So
no one knows.
I'm trying to pretend I'm not in pain, but it's okay. But I'm having fun. She's made it where I don't feel the pain.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, International Focus magazine, going back to it again, one more important question that I felt was important that I should have asked you earlier, and that is when you go interview these council journals, obviously these are people that you need clearance to go talk to, and it's not like you can just call them and be like, hey, we're coming from here. You have to be established, you need to kind of be known in the community. So when they see you, is it like a fresh face when they see you come out?
Most of them we know from, like we said, the national days, just to reiterate and not be too redundant, but that's why we went to all these national days and Independence Days, because that was our passion over the years, is to go to all of these organizations and all of these events to show our support, to be there for them, and they know us quite well, and some of them more than others, and some are new ones, and there's always new ones. We had a new Indian one come aboard. We have a new Pakistan one. So there are new ones, as you know, their term ends, but we've developed a grand relationship with them. We'll go have lunch and farewells and private ones and things. You know, it's been nice, like this one from Pakistan on the cover. We went, he took us to lunch. He said, it's been nice to know you over these years. And he was, and his commercial attaché for Fawad, and we have a great relationship developed from the years.
And I think that's a beautiful thing that you guys are doing, and especially a platform, for example, with television. I know you have to be very careful with who you bring, who you have in it for the magazine. But I think you're kind of letting people know who they are, you know, because you see them at an event. People just meet them because they're there to say something, and that's it. I mean, obviously they're doing amazing work. I mean, if you be, being honest about that.
We describe it in the magazine as well, of what their job is, what their role is, and also there's differences between honorary and career consuls. A lot of people don't know, so it's an education, education piece, informative.
Of course, it's informative, and I think it's good information where they're getting, and this is online also, so it's not just where they can pick up a hard copy. You know, so I think that's important.
Well, I think let me add one more thing. That's been a lot of fun to hear about, and that is that there are a lot of consul generals that are calling us wanting to know when they are going to get to be on the cover.
Wow.
And so there is a lot of enthusiasm. that's
wonderful.
building, and we're very excited about that.
Of course, that's wonderful. I know it. Sometimes when I get those calls or emails, when are we coming? I'm like, oh, I don't know. There's just we'll get to you, but it's just a certain way. First
Sure.
come. How you make a phone call and they say, you will be answered, and the calls will be answered in the order they were received.
Right.
Just like that, we'll get to you. But some people just feel like just brush them off and just take them first. But I'm sure you guys don't have that. I mean, that's definitely a good thing, and I think you guys are definitely bridging the gap for the community. And it's not just the Pakistani community. That's not the South Asian community. I think with all different communities, and especially with living in Houston, I think there's amazing beauty. There's so many diverse things you can do, and the culture, the beauty. I think it's amazing.
I do too.
I love Houston. You're talking to a big Houston advocate here.
Yeah.
I represented Houston. Visit Houston. I absolutely love. You'll see if you see me on social media. If you looked me up, I'm always doing Visit Houston. I just did my last post was a Visit Houston post, wasn't it? And so to bring back to that, we are very sensitive on what is on the cover. So if we've honored and put the cover of Pakistan, let's say, we will never put something that offends the culture inside the magazine.
And that's very important.
We're very sensitive to that. We know very well what not to do, what the protocol is. We work very well with the mayor's Office of Protocol. She's on in fact, her name's Danae, and she's on the front cover with me on our very first demo sample that we made.
Yes, I have seen that.
We made that really to say that we're about to announce that we're going to do a magazine and what it's going to be about, but we didn't have a consul on the front because we were doing the G7 event, and we wanted to not be biased towards any certain consul at our event to have them on the cover. So that's why
that was very
my business partner Val decided, he goes, here, I'll put our photographer Vicky, and we'll put, and she does, she's amazing. She does international photography in the White House, just all the cultures, wonderful. And Danae, who's at the Mayor's Protocol Office, and then Ellen, who's with Sister Cities. She's been the head of Sister Cities for a while. And she has the Indian Film Festival and everything. So we're very blessed by the people we've known through this whole journey so far.
I think it's a blessing when you have people supporting you and getting you there. And I think having you on the show, and the thing, I'm all for women empowerment. I really feel that's really important. And when I found out that, these are, you started this thing and being a female, and of course you have a partner too, but the thing is, just doing this, it takes a lot. So I can definitely, it's an honor having you guys on the show and talk.
Such a pleasure to be with you.
Yes.
My goodness.
We couldn't do it without people like you all. So I'm so appreciative, and your show is amazing. I didn't know about it until I'm going to feel so like this is now I'm going to start putting posts about this show because I really know her genuine character and what she's about and what she is for her watchers. So we usually talk about readership, and then with the radio show we do every Monday, we talk about listenership. And then now we have viewership.
Of course,
to talk about.
Viewership. So you guys are just doing great.
And we love y'all. But thank you so much, and I think you really need to be commended just out there as such a groundbreaker female Muslim out there just trailblazing as having your own show and being one of the only ones out there doing that. So thank you so much for doing that and being such an amazing
Wow.
Thank you. For being such an amazing role model to so many.
Thank you so much. It's I just don't know. I feel like I'm getting one of those speeches, but thank you. It really means a lot, those kind words. And there's a reason why I do this. Being, the first South Asian, having a female doing a talk show, it gets tough, but I have a wonderful supportive family. But I think there's so much we need to do. I mean, I was reading your magazine, I mean, what you guys are doing, for us to do it, I think it takes a lot because, there's so many factors you have to take in place. But doing it, keeping at it, there have been, and I'll be honest with you, I mean, I can say this, people that are watching, I have people who are like, oh, you're on TV, but then you're on TV. So I'm like, and? Just because you're on TV, if we start thinking like this, or I should say we should stop thinking like this, the next generation, we need to clear the way for them. We need to clear that path for them. Be it magazine, be it TV, even be radio. I mean, it's a different platform depending on your viewers or your listeners. It's really that, or your readers. But I think we need to do that. And I cannot emphasize enough when I say this, if someone is doing something, if you cannot encourage them, don't try saying bad things. Don't try messing them up, because you know what? It will not help. I mean, I can just go on and on talk about that
I could
topic.
too, and actually, I believe that it will do nothing to them. It will only hurt yourself.
It will hurt yourself.
It will only hurt yourself. You know, when you point your finger, you have
Of
three
course.
coming back to you.
Right, exactly. So people need
So
to...
don't do it. Just encourage people and lift people up, because that will also come back to you.
It will come back to you.
That's true.
Well, we're going to be running out of time very soon. I told you 1 hour was not enough. Now, we'll ask you, Sonia, since you're on this side. Look into the first camera, and what message do you have for our viewers right now? People are watching in U.S. and Canada. They'll watch it on repeat. What would you like to leave them with?
Well, hello, good morning to you, and I really appreciate this platform to be able to speak to you today, and to just share with you a little bit about what we're involved in. I know everyone has their mission and everyone has their focus and what you make time for, you know, just like when if you're part of any boards, what you give your time, talent, or treasure. What do you focus on every day? Whether it's your family, you know, whether you're a mother at home, and that's a very important job. I did it for years of just being a stay-at-home mom, supporting my twins' father, who was from a political family, and in making sure he was successful, and we became very successful. A company we started in the security world. Ironically, and we did a lot of government buildings and high-end commercial, and that was in Austin and Lakeway, Texas. And then I came back to Houston, to where I was really born, and I have all these ethnicities in my culture, in my family. I have about 13 at least, and so mostly British, French, first of all, but all of them. And I thought, okay, how do we bridge I really don't see a difference. I focus on how are we alike, just like when I came on the last time on this TV1 station was a few years ago with the president of the Pakistan Chamber, and we talked about how are we alike? How are our cultures alike rather than how are we different? And so really what you focus on expands, like I was saying earlier. And my favorite saying is, your attitude is your altitude, and I really believe that. So you put on a good attitude, even if you don't feel like it, smile, and it'll trick yourself to being happier and more positive, and then more things come to you that way.
Well said. I think you said it all. Thank you so much for that. And Melissa, now going to you. Of course, I'm going to ask you what message do you have. Same thing. You can go into that camera. Okay. And then also, if you can let us know, if someone wants to get involved in the International Focus magazine, how can they do that? If you can let us know that.
Of course.
Go ahead.
So I'm so happy to be here today. I would love for you to come and join us, be a part of this. It's more than a magazine. It's kind of a movement, and it's something that needs to happen not only in Houston, which is very diverse, but all over the country, all over the world. We need to focus on the things that we have in common. We need to build bridges, and we have a great platform here. So if you would like to be a part of this, give me a call. Yes, I am going to put this out on Canada and U.S., 832-499-6469. Please give me a call. Don't hesitate to call me. I'd love to talk to you about this. I'd love to answer any questions that you have. Also, you could reach me at melissa@ifmagazine.net. That's MELISSA at ifmagazine.net. Or you can look online, and I hope every one of you will go online, look at our magazine, read our articles. We're really interested in speaking to all international communities. We also want people who are maybe not from the international community, but who are interested in the international community to jump on board and to be excited about this as well. And as you know, our strategic partners, whom we've named already, so excited to have them on board, and they have the faith and confidence in us, and we want you to do that too.
Now, more than our partnerships grow every day, and there's more than what we've mentioned today. The Office of Foreign Missions is our very close partner that does the clearance for these consulates to be consuls. And so, you know, just branching off from that, we do a lot more than what we've said. And go ahead and throw me a line too, if you like. The email is sonia@ifmagazine.net. And I'd be glad to talk with you as well.
Yeah. All right, definitely.
So I have one more thing.
Sure.
One more thing that I need to throw out and that is that you can have, do, or be anything you want.
Well said, amazing ladies. And you know, I've had different people on the show. This is the first time I actually had a magazine. People from a magazine coming on. And usually, you know, people, what they do is if you're in TV, you don't want to promote radio. If you're in radio, you don't want to promote magazines. And I think everyone is doing their own thing. Everyone's so busy with their own things. And I think it's wonderful. And I think you guys coming out, this amazing work you guys are doing with this International Focus magazine, I keep pointing at it. You might almost be like, you know, what am I pointing at? This magazine. This was the issue from September. And every month there will be a different council journal on the screen. And then there's so much information in here. I was flipping through this. I mean, there's so much information about it. And where can we pick up a copy from? I mean, I know it's online too, but people who want the hard copy.
Well, honestly, online.
It shows it.
Yeah, online is the best way. Currently, we have a list of distribution, and if you want to be on our distribution list, you can email us or go online and let us know that, and we will make sure that you get your magazine.
All right, definitely.
But I also want to say one more thing, and please forgive me for not saying this earlier, and that is we're so thankful to Riaz Barber for having us on the show and for actually inviting us to be on, and it's just a tremendous network. I can't say enough how much we appreciate all the work that has been done.
Of course,
with TV One.
Definitely, and you know, thank you so much for coming out. I know you talked about Riaz Barber. He's the CEO of TV One, and you know, one thing is he was the one who had this dream of doing it from Houston, and not just Houston. We're expanded to Chicago. We're expanded to Dallas, to Washington, Virginia, and I think even different parts. New York, of course, we already have that. So I think that vision and TV station, to start a TV station, is a very big thing, you know, that dream. And that was one of the reasons when you work for someone, you know this person is doing good things. You know, you want to work for a credible person. So that's why I joined, and I've been with the company for about 2.5 years now, over 100 shows. But you won't see it as much on Facebook, and I should really do that. I keep reminding myself. But thank you so much.
Same with us. We don't have updated.
We need to do that.
I just dropped off some at Mezban, you know, which is a big restaurant. I'm not supposed to say names properly, but there's a lot in the Hillcroft area that has some of them we frequent. One of them's our advertiser, and we drop off some at there as well.
Okay. Well, while she looks for it, let me just wrap up the show. If you find it before the break, that's fine. We're ending the show. I've been told to wrap up the show. Again, thank you to all of you for being a part of the show, for you know, watching the show each day, and of course we have our restaurant that she's showing. Chennai restaurant. Okay, definitely. We'll pick up a copy and get the information on your own. Anyway, thank you so very much for being a part of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in every Sunday and watching the show. And like I always say, and this time I'll have to say it in English because I haven't. I think it's rude to speak a different language while other people. But what it is that, you know, life is very short. We are so busy with our lives. We are so busy with so many things. But just make sure that you do good to yourself and make sure you do good to others. And be good to everyone. That's all I have to say. Anyway, see you all next week. Dua Mizuri Kiga. Allah Hafiz.